he's
every
blocking,
time.
even when he's blocking somebody, you know what I noticed about him? He's one of those guys that drives me nuts to watch tape on, because he will go take the easy double team instead of going to get upfield and starting to block the next level of blockers. Like he would rather take the easy block, and by doing that, like in the Bears game, 2 times Raekwon Smith got to go free and make a tackle in the backfield because Lane Taylor decided to go block on a double team that we were stretching the play, so the tight end, the tackle, Bakhtiari, was moving the tackle, that defensive end, in, and it was already a set-up stretch double team as the play got stretched out. Lane Taylor was being lazy. His job was supposed to be to get upfield and block Raekwon Smith. He looks right at him and then goes to double team. So you basically have 3 guys blocking 2 and leaving a free stud middle linebacker to diagnose and make him, and he did, for a 3-yard loss. And then same thing on a little screen pass to Jamal Williams. He goes and he's got a guy engaged with the tackle, and instead of getting upfield and finding the next available guy to block, he does the lazy thing and goes and double teams a guy. And what happens? It's Raekwon Smith again, and he comes and shoots because he's free and makes a tackle on a screenplay in the backfield. And had he blocked him, there's a 10 or 15 yards to be gained there before the next defender is going to get there.
And who knows, it might even be more because of how elusive Jones is.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not just, guys, I'm not just trying to pick on him that he gets blowed up, because he doesn't always get blowed up. What I'm seeing on tape is for a veteran guy, he's making mental mistakes or making bad choices that you just for somebody that has as much experience, there's no reason. There's no excuse. And if you're going to do that, you're going to get those growing pains from a rookie, but at least it's a freaking rookie. Like, that's the difference. Lane Taylor, at this point in his career, should not be taking the easy play instead of trying to do something to help make a better play. And I'm sure he's getting told that in the film room, too, because I know I'm not that smart. I'm not as smart as his coaches are. I know that. So, I mean, we're not Lane Taylor haters, but again, it is what it is, and it's time to move forward and see what else they have. And it might not work out, but I already can tell you right now, he's not going to get any better, okay? We already know that. I can see it on film. He's not going to change.
Well, back out of the rabbit hole that we just went through, I got a couple more big news updates. No, you're good. I did it, too. I'm the one that brought up Lane Taylor and Elton Jenkins. I was just excited because that's our boy. Another biggie. Drew Brees had main thumb ligament repair today, and they said originally it's supposed to be at least 6 weeks, but now they're projecting more 8 to 10. Folks that had the season, Teddy Bridgewater is not a savior. He's a game manager. He's just not Drew Brees. You have that offense is built for Drew. It's not built for a game manager. You can change it over a couple games, I guess, but I just feel like you're too far down the well to even look at that. I think the Saints are done. I think Brees is done because he's, 42, 43 years old now? Same thing with Brady. And
he'll be 41 this season.
And he's having thumb ligament repair surgery, like on his throwing hand. And that's the thing, Jay. They showed a clip of it on the game.
He couldn't.
I was watching the game live. Yeah, it dropped out of his hand like a jelly bean. Just went like out. He couldn't grip it at all. And the only person we've ever seen grip a football with any type of injured thumb, who was it? Brett Favre.
Brett Favre had a broken thumb on his throwing hand all of the 2003 season, and that was the year of the 4th and 26 play. So, yeah, he played two playoff games, and so 18 games with a broken thumb. Because I think that happened week 1 or week 2, didn't it?
Not getting down the rabbit hole again. But anyways, Breeze is... He's another one of those quarterbacks that's ready to move on from that generation. And it's
I hate to say it, because I appreciate the greatness, Drew Brees coming back with thumb surgery, we've already seen even his coaches admitted last year on tape, the second 8 games of the season, you saw a dead arm happening.
He was tired.
His arm was getting weaker and weaker. It was harder for him to make even the 15-yard out was getting harder and harder for him to make it there with any type of zip. He was having shoulder soreness. And now you're telling me a guy that already is losing arm strength, is waning through a 16-game schedule. You're telling me that at 42 years old he's going to come back after guys, I'm not saying he won't try, but again, the older you get, I will say it again, the older you get, the more you start to realize your athletic mortality, and you're okay with it. When you're young, you will go out fighting and kicking and screaming. These two quarterbacks that got injured, I think can retire and move on and be perfectly content with it, because it just is what it is. And there becomes a point where by the time you get done and able to grip a football and all that, you know what, all athletes, including me, training was okay. I was one of the few people, I didn't mind training. I loved getting in the cage. The actual night of the fight, awesome. These guys, even Kingsley said it to us when we asked him. He's a 22-year-old guy that's just doing it for the first time on a pro level. It's just kind of mundane. It's the same shit over and over. The fun part is if you get to scrimmage or the actual live practices where you're hitting and the game days. Everything else is kind of boring. So do you really think a 42-year-old with 3 kids at home and a wife, and the kids are at that age, his daughter I think is 11 or 12, his boys are like getting to be like in the 7, 8, 9-year-old range, things are starting to happen, and you're not going to get to actually play football. Your days and weeks are going to be consisting of doing stupid handball exercises. You're not going to be in the locker room with all the guys. You're not going to be out on the field. Like, it's different when you're that age and you have to go through that. Do you understand what I'm saying, Dave?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying, and I just think that with Andrew Luck retiring, Ben going out, Breeze possibly being his last year, I mean, it's just moving on from a lot of different situations. And then another one has turned the tables today. Daniel Jones has been named the starting quarterback of the Giants. I applaud Dave Gettleman, the GM, for doing this, and for the owner of the Mara family for doing this. It was time to rip the Band-Aid off and get Eli on the bench. I'm sorry, you don't draft a guy that early and just sit him. It's just, I have the same argument with the Redskins. You drafted Haskins that early, why are you starting Keenum? It's just I'm glad.
Backup. Period.
I'm glad they're starting Jones. Jones showed in preseason that he can run the offense. He showed he can work in the scheme. He showed he has the pocket presence. And again, folks, I say in preseason. I know he hasn't had any live time, but he has a really good platform this Sunday. He faces the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs secondary is not anything to go ooh and ah about. I mean, you can throw on the Bucs secondary. An injured Cam Newton did it last weekend, and yeah, he lost, but he still did it. So I'm rooting for Jones. I'm rooting for Rudolph.
Let's be real here, talking to New York Giants fans out there. Any of you New York Giants fans out there, or any fan out there that's an Eli fan that's upset by this, don't be a hater. They are not going to be any worse with Daniel Jones than they were with Eli Manning. Okay?
Exactly.
The idea that somehow or another Eli and this team were going to make a playoff run in this year or next year if he stuck around, it was just going to be more of the same. 8-8 is the best this team's going to do. They started a rebuild. You drafted a kid this high. You know that they were 5-4 with Kurt Warner when they drafted Eli and made the trade or whatever on draft day for Eli. They were 5-4 and you know, still had playoff, and they switched, and Kurt Warner ended up being a Hall of Fame player. His second half of his career was actually a lot better than really his first half, even though he'd won a Super Bowl. It was more consistent. He got back to a Super Bowl. It's just time, and honestly, if you really want to do Eli a solid, you trade him in the next week or two to somewhere where he can go play. Because Eli Manning is one of those guys where, look, I'm not going to say he's he's getting into the Hall of Fame because he's got 2 rings. It's not because he was a Hall of Fame caliber player. It's just it'll take time, but just about everybody with 2 rings that's ever played quarterback ends up in the Hall of Fame. He's getting in on rings alone because he was kind of...
And the NFL lore, he's the only quarterback to beat Brady in 2 Super Bowls.
Like,
that's the only quarterback to ever do it.
Average, honestly. I mean, you know...
Oh, yeah, he's 160. I think he's 163. He has a 500 career. But the thing is, though, why not let him in? Joe Namath has a negative winning-loss record. And he has more interceptions and touchdowns, I believe. And he's in the Hall of Fame. And everyone today on Twitter, oh, yeah, it's a different era. No, I don't care. If you're going to grade a QB by those stats, Eli gets in because Namath is in there.
See, look, the Hall of Fame is different, man. The Hall of Fame kind of, I think, judges on it is about stats, but at the same time, there's a lot. Like, if you really dig into it, there's a lot of guys.
It's about what you meant to the game.
Yes, there's a lot of guys that do not have impressive stats, but you know who they are because they had key moments in key games in history that really. I know people hate this, but there's no other way to say it without saying it, even if you hate it. They really help tell the story of the NFL, and that's really why they're enshrined in the Hall of Fame, because they impacted the game in a way that they're known, even if their career stats aren't up there with the stellar people that in their position group or whatever. So people need to stop with this Hall of Fame thing is, you know, oh, it's all about you have to have these stats. Those stats are nice, but there's plenty of players that do not live up to the stats thing that are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I like the whole NFL story to it, like you were saying, Jay. I like that aspect of it. And yeah, Eli doesn't have the winning record that other QBs are going to go in with, and the stats and the QB rating. And no, you know what he has? He is part of NFL lore. He is the Dragon Slayer.
Those are 2 of my most favorite Super Bowls to watch because they were damn good games. I'm sorry, but Super Bowls in my lifetime have been very one-sided. There's been very few good games as far as I'm concerned in the Super Bowl. Honest to God. I mean, if you really think about what you consider a good game, there hasn't been a lot of them. And both those Super Bowls that Eli won with the Patriots, like, those were excellent football games. They kept you on the edge of their seat. They went down to the wire. There was big plays on both sides of the ball for both teams. I mean, yeah, they were just some good-ass damn Super Bowls that we don't always get. And, so there were a couple of the Super Bowls, even though the Packers weren't in them, they were some of my favorite Super Bowls to watch.
Yeah, the Plaxico Burress coming back and scoring the touchdown with like a minute left, and the Giants' notorious famous defense with Strahan getting after Brady in the final minute. Man, that just, yeah, like you said, it's edge of the seat action, and that's what makes those Super Bowl games amazing. But the thing is, I mean, yeah, defense is really fun to watch, but in the Super Bowl, man, you don't want a 13-3 finish. You know what you want? You want 31-34. You want something like that. And I always prefer a high-scoring Super Bowl because I like watching the offenses. Yeah, defense is plenty fun to watch, guys. I love defense. But, man, Super Bowl, I just love the show of the offense. That's just me. But you know what? I'm sure they're done hearing us yap, Jay. Let's go ahead and get Dillon on so people can hear his awesome fantasy advice.
Fine, we'll go to break. We'll be right back and get Mr. Busby on the phone. You guys don't want to talk to us no more.